couple days ago, I put up a poll where I'm doing some hand loads for a friend, and I sent him some 200 grain AccuBonds for his 300 PRC and some 200 grain Terminal Scent. And I asked you which bullet he should use. And the responses I get from you guys are very valuable. And in today's video, I want to talk about one bullet and an honorary mention of another that get the least amount of complaints, the least amount of, well, this bullet didn't do what it was supposed to do. So we're going to find out what is the most consistent hunting bullet ever made. I've done a lot of videos on, the best or the worst, or just specific videos on hunting bullets. Every video I get a handful of comments with personal experience saying such and such bullet, like this guy, it failed. It didn't do what it was supposed to do. It fell apart or it overpenetrated or whatever it may be. And I get that with all of the bullets, every single one. But there has been one bullet that I've never seen, at least remember seeing, one person saying it didn't do its job. It failed on the animal. Now I've got 6 different variety of hunting bullets on the table. All of these bullets have rabid fans, but there's one specifically, is definitely the most controversial, the one that has a lot of haters and lovers. I want to talk about that one real quick before I talk about what I think is the most consistent hunting bullet out there. So you probably can take a good guess at which one is the most controversial one. It is the one with the red tip. This is the ELDX. It is a 175 grain and 7 millimeter, and it has a lot of fans and it has a lot of haters. Let's talk about why. Let's first talk about why people love this bullet, the Hornady ELDX. Number one, I think in most guns, the ELDX is an accurate bullet, and in a lot of factory ammo, it shoots extremely well. So people love seeing tiny groups with these ELDX bullets. The other reason is, well, in the last 20 years, high BC bullets are really all the rage. And, it's fun shooting long distance. And the ELDXs certainly have a very competitive and high BC bullets versus their competitors. So why does this bullet get so much hate? It's so accurate, it's high BC. Well, I think a lot of it comes down to Hornady marketing this bullet as an all-range bullet, when that's simply just not the case. The reality of the ELDX is more often than not, this is the type of performance you're probably going to get on game, where there's so much explosive expansion that the core, lead core, separates from the jacket. There's a couple reasons why people don't like that. Now, there are people that really do like that, but the reasons why people don't like it is you're not going to get as much penetration, and with the lead going kind of everywhere, blowing up on your game, it can ruin some meat. Now, just because the ELDX a lot of times does fall apart, that does not mean that it can't kill an animal. In fact, it's quite effective, and there's a lot of people that like that. And ultimately, there's a lot of people that think with the bullet falling apart and blowing up in game provides a quicker death for the animal. On the exact opposite spectrum of the hunting bullets, we have the monolithic bullets. The ones I have are a TTSX and a LRX, and they get just about as much love and hate as the high BC cup and core bullets like the ELDX do. So what are some of the strengths of the monolithic bullets? Well, they are going to have incredible penetration. They are going to give you 2 holes in an animal. And for a lot of hunters, that is very much an ideal thing, where they want the animal, if it's not going to get taken down, they don't want to have to track it far, and 2 holes of bleeding is better than 1. So what are the obvious disadvantages of the monolithic bullets? They need velocity to expand. I've done many videos on this. I would not recommend someone shooting a 190 grain CX bullet or a 190 grain LRX bullet in a 308 Winchester. You're going to get the famous saying, penciled through. And these bullets do expand pretty sweet, but if you don't have the velocity, they're not going to expand very well. Then we have our happy medium. The bullets that I prefer for big game hunting are the bonded bullets. On the left is a terminal ascent. On the right is a AccuBond. And the bullet that has expanded is a 200 grain AccuBond at a lower velocity of around 2100 feet per second. And what you get with AccuBonds, or any type of bonded bullet, is a controlled expansion, and you don't need as much velocity as the monolithic bullets, but you get a lot of penetration and a lot of retained weight. This one was around 85% retained weight. In theory, you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get good expansion, but you also get really good penetration. But with that being said, there are still lovers and haters of these bullets. Some of the common things that people don't like about bonded bullets. Number one, they're a little bit harder to get accurate than, say, an ELDX or maybe even a Berger bullet. The bonding process just makes it a little tougher to load for. Doesn't mean you can't get really good accuracy. I've gotten phenomenal accuracy out of the AccuBond, and I've also gotten quite good accuracy out of the terminal ascent and other bonded bullets. So it's not that it's not possible, it just means it might take a little more work. The other downside to these bullets are they're kind of expensive to get. Some complaints from the fans of bonded bullets is that they didn't perform like they were supposed to. I've heard stories of AccuBonds penciling through animals, and I've recently have heard stories of the terminal ascent. Well, it fell apart at higher velocities. What do I mean by that? Kind of like this LRX where the front half of the bullet just completely came off, and all that was left was the base monolithic bullet, which the terminal ascent is a monolithic bullet on the bottom. So that's not ideal. Just a quick side note about bonded bullets penciling through game. I think people don't really understand what the bonded bullet is meant to do. I'm just going to say that for most people that say a bonded bullet that penciled through, that's kind of what it was intended to do. Not the pencil part, but to make two holes through an animal and to have really good penetration. That's kind of the whole design of a bonded bullet, is that you get almost as good penetration as the monolithic bullets, but you still get quite a bit good expansion, at least better expansion than the monolithic bullets. So a lot of me is a little bit skeptical on all the people that say, well, the AccuBond just pencils through game. Well, did you actually find the bullet? I'm going to make a pretty good guess it really didn't pencil through. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. In the beginning of the video, I said I would make an honorary mention of a bullet that just is very consistent. You don't see people complaining about how it performed. That is the Swift A-frame. So what is the number one bullet? The bullet that I honestly can't remember or have ever seen a complaint about its consistency working on game. That's right, folks. The old-fashioned FUD Nosler partition. You can tell this is an old bullet from an old box. It was only 18 bucks. I'm sure this was bought probably 25 years ago or more. The Nosler partition, it just works. It's very similar to a Swift A-frame, with the exception that the front half of the bullet is not bonded. It is actually a cup and core, and it is very much likely that you do see the front half of this bullet falling apart, but you get the best of both worlds with this bullet. So you get rapid expansion, and because there is that A-frame or that partition in the middle, it will penetrate extremely well. And it is very common, in fact, I think expected, that a Nosler partition will go at least to the other side of the hide of the animal. if not going through completely, depending on the animal. Again, I've never seen a complaint about the Nosler partition working extremely well or failing on game. Now, if there was one drawback to the Nosler partition, the only complaints I've ever seen, and it's never been about how it performs on game, it's about its accuracy. Now, I guess I count myself lucky because whenever I've loaded the partition in my 243 Winchester, my 270 Winchester, and my 300 Weatherby, I get easily sub MOA. But a lot of other people have reported to me that it's quite the feat to get, and quite normal to get 1.5-inch groups with Nosler partition. So yeah, this bullet's not really made for long range. There is no high BC bullet. There is no, boat tail to this thing. It's a flat base bullet. But I've yet to hear someone say a partition failed on game. And if you're wondering what bullet my friend Big Timber picked for his 300 PRC for his elk hunt, well, he picked that one.